Hey friends, so if you've been following along, I have been going through my entire house and ruthlessly decluttering every area, closet, nook, cranny of my house. Today I'm hoping to get a lot done, but we're gonna start off with this closet that is in our living room area. We do homeschool. My husband and I both have our own businesses. So this is kind of the area where we store a lot of paper stuff, the printer, books, homeschool stuff, and I also have a Cricut, so some of the things that go along with that as well. If you've been decluttering with me the last couple of weeks, let me know in the comments what you've been decluttering and what you've been getting done. And even if you haven't been decluttering with me, maybe you clicked on this video because you are in the midst of it. Whatever you're tackling right now, let us know in the comments and we can all chat and encourage each other to keep on going. This closet is definitely the least minimal space in our home, but it's necessary. And I personally have such a love for books. They make me so happy. I love different writing styles. I love looking up recipes in cookbooks. I just love the tangible aspect of books versus using the computer or the internet all the time to search everything or to read everything. I do, however, have a Kindle, and I recently have acquired that, and I really love that as well. So that kind of helped me make decisions on which physical books I want to keep, and from here on out, I probably will only purchase physical books that really mean a lot to me, and then just read the other books on my Kindle, just because it obviously saves money and it's a little bit easier for me to take my Kindle with me places than lugging a book with me everywhere. So this is what I have configured so far on this shelf, and I did bring my Cricut in here. My husband just got that for my birthday for me. I had a Cricut Joy, and I'm actually going to be pulling it out of here today because I've been enjoying my Cricut Explorer, and I could go on and on about it, but we'll leave it at that for today. So I have something else I'm going to actually put in here. So I've got some pegboards that I'm going to use, some heavy duty command strips, and put them along here just for odds and end things. It feels like this section with crafty stuff and hobbies and things like that ends up with smaller tools that could be put back there. I do also have these baskets here. They're from IKEA, and they're gonna work great to store my vinyls for my Cricut, and I really don't want to go beyond what I can store in those. This here is for the girls' magazines and coloring books. Those are things that they obviously don't stand up very nice by themselves, so I'm kind of using these. We were using these for our school books, and I have a different area we're storing them now, so those are going to work great for that. These pegboard cubes were really easy to put on the wall. I actually just attached command strips to the little pads that were sent with the pegboards so that it would come off a little easier. I was concerned that the pads might stick to the wall pretty severely, so I just went ahead and put command strips on them, and it seems very sturdy. The command strips I used, I think, were 14 pounds each, so each square would be able to hold up to 14 pounds. I will probably never hang anything that heavy on this pegboard, but just for good measure that nothing damages the wall and it all will work out really great. So now I'm just kind of reorganizing our little library. So speaking of libraries, we don't live near a library that I want to be a member of. We live out pretty far away from town, and it's just not around the corner for us to go to the library. Plus, a lot of books that we enjoy reading, libraries don't even carry. They're older books. So it's simply easier for me to acquire the books and then pass them on through my 3 daughters. And since we do have 3 girls, a lot of their tastes will probably be similar and they'll enjoy reading more girly books. However, I do have a daughter that does enjoy a lot of suspenseful books, mystery books, and things like that. So I don't know how in the future I'm going to weed through those things, but in the season that we're at, we're in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. We've got a lot of reading that has to happen for those grades, and even in the next couple of years. So having a nice little library is convenient, and I know that if the book gets damaged, it's ours forever. It can make it through all 3 children, and then we can pass them along to someone else. I do want to say a note that I do get most of my books used, especially the ones for our daughters. Now, this other little end of the closet here holds a lot of our home remedies, things like essential oils, vitamins, different things for when we get sick. I am more of a natural type person. I like to lean to natural home remedies if possible. Obviously, there's cases that we can't do that, but whenever we can, we do. However, I think that this is an area that can be very hard for most people to let go of things, just simply because if you spent the money, you're like, well, maybe someday I'll need it. It's a very easy category to fall into the someday type of a mindset. So I just had to go through and let go of stuff that we haven't used in quite some time and just use a lot of common sense in what I was picking out. All right, it took a bit, but I managed to finally get through this whole closet. I didn't film every single second of it because it was just a lot of decision making in here. So over here is a lot of our personal care items. We don't have very big bathrooms in this small farmhouse, and so it's just my place to kind of keep first aid things. And then this whole rack around here keeps all of our items for when we get sick. I've organized that in a video past. Like you saw, I did get rid of some essential oils. This is kind of our catch-all area. And then printer and paper down here. These are our games. And actually, a couple weeks ago, I decluttered, I think, about 10 different games out of this area and passed them along to my brother and sister-in-law and their children. Our children are just getting older, and we don't play a lot of the younger age group games anymore. So pass them along to somebody else that can use them, and now we're into Monopoly and Rummikub and those sorts of games. And then obviously this is our little library, and I tried to group things together the best I could by subject. We do have some nice space here. Oh, and down here is the things I decluttered. So I decluttered an entire box and a whole bag, so I'm really happy about that. But like I said, with homeschooling, we do have a lot of books, and I also personally love to read. So up here is a bunch of my novels and fiction type books. On the top, I have a few baskets that stayed in place. This corner is the one I'm most happy about. Just with this pegboard, I feel like it's going to be so useful, and we can use it to organize things for homeschooling, for crafting, or simply office supplies. So at the top, I just hung up my mats for my Cricut. My Cricut fits in here nicely. Most of those bins up there are empty right now, which is a good sign. Here, I showed you that part earlier. These are our 3 activity bins that I still have things in. And then down there, those bins are empty. And then on the bottom, we have our family photo albums. If you guys have never done this, I so highly recommend making photo albums. Our children love sitting and looking through them, just reliving memories that we've made as a family. Back in here is our internet router, and then back over to the pegboard. Those headphones are for the girls whenever they're doing school, so I put them nice and low for them. And then the rest of it's pretty empty because I wasn't exactly sure what else I want to put in here, but having empty space whenever you're done decluttering is such a great feeling. This is our playroom upstairs, and you all have seen this before. However, we added something to the mix up here. I know it's a mess, but I'm gonna clean as I'm decluttering here. And as you can see, we have a little bit too much stuff going on. Stuff isn't fitting in the bins right, all of that. But I am working on building this dollhouse for the girls. I actually started it at the other house we lived in. Never completely finished it, and I had it in the attic, and since we've had cold weather, they were begging for me to get it out. So we added this into the mix. We had this drawer set for the Legos over there, if you all remember. Now that's sitting over there, so I'm kind of going to compromise by getting rid of this stack of stuff and making it a little less full in here. So I have a trash bag and a donation bag, and I'm going to go ahead and quickly get through this room. I know it looks really busy and it looks like a lot to me, so I'm hoping to be as motivated as possible. Also, this plant shelf up here needs to be decluttered. There's a couple plants that just simply are not thriving up there, and it just looks too full for me. I had a bunch of plants in my sunroom downstairs, and I got rid of a bunch, and then I moved some up here, and yeah, we just need a little refresh on all of this. This project of children's toys and their possessions can be different for each household in how you handle it, and I think it just depends on if this is the first time that you're decluttering with your kids or if they are used to it. So I have obviously been somebody that has done a lot of decluttering through the years. So my girls have grown up with the idea that if it gets too out of hand, then we need to declutter something. And they like that idea. They've been taught that idea. And so for them, a lot of times they're like, yeah, Mom, you just do it. And then they're happy with the outcome. And I did not say this at the end of this video, but I wanted to insert this here. Whenever I was completely done with this whole room, I had the girls come upstairs and I asked them if they could tell me what I took out of this room. And lo and behold, they could not tell me what I took out of this room. They could not find anything missing from their most prized possessions. And I attribute that to the fact of watching your kids really studying what they like to play with. And whenever all the excess is gone, they probably won't even realize what went missing if you know what their favorite things are. I was just floored that they stood there and could not figure out what I took out of the room, even though I took out so much. And I'll tell you here at the end how much I really took out. So here you're getting to see a little bit of something I don't normally show on my channel, but that is the three girls helping me make some decisions. So when it comes to things like stuffed animals, or if I simply just don't know which one's their favorite, I will have them come in. I will have them tell me what they really like and what they don't care about. And they'll give me the straight answers, and usually it works out well. We walk away, everybody's happy. And for certain zones, like stuffed animals, I definitely involve them in that because I know that it helps them in decision making. It develops that for them, and that is a good thing. Next up, I tackled this shelf with these plants, and honestly, this was just a stash area for me after I cleaned out our sunroom. I just had too many plants going on, and I needed to pass some on to other people. My neighbor, I gave her a bunch of them. And so it felt really good to get this kind of cleaned up because it was one of those things in the back of my mind that I knew needed to be done. So there went just a little extra stress for me. I am incredibly happy with how this room looks. So I didn't really show you this side or my daughter's desk here, but she's our oldest and she's very organized. I actually had her come up and just declutter her desk as well. So we do over here in the corner have a little table and chair set, and then these are the girls' caboodles because what girl doesn't want a caboodle? This is some stuff that works with my daughter's sewing project she's doing right now. She takes care of all this, does a very, very good job. So on this side, I kind of switched things back to the way they were before we had pulled out the dollhouse. So we have our Lego tower here. I will leave this linked below. One of the best decisions ever. We are a big Lego family. Talked about that in the video where I first organized this room. And then here is their stuffed animals. If it doesn't fit in here, we get rid of stuff, we go through it, we declutter it. And then here on this side of the room, we really, really decluttered. This is where a lot of clutter was happening. I put the dollhouse over here. I added this bin in. It's actually a tote bag my mom gave me, and I just can't part with it. It reminds me so much of her, but I wanted to find a use for it. So it works great to store their little toys in. And then up here, as you saw, I took down the dying plants and the ones that just were not thriving in here and just left those up there. And then in these bins, pretty much how I categorized everything was I did animals. They love playing with this farm and a little fence set we have here and the animals that are in here. and I didn't really need to declutter or downsize that too much. My youngest faithfully plays with that stuff. So she loves it. This is her little train set that she likes to get out. Everything stores inside that case, and then she can get that out and just play with the train. This is the dishes and food that we have for them to play with. My middle daughter actually came up and we went through this together, and we were able to pick out a handful or more of pieces that she just didn't want anymore. I think when your kids really understand that thing of taking care of their own space, and when stuff gets to be too much and it's too out of hand and they can't take care of it themselves, they really begin to learn the value in decluttering. So down here, this one here just mainly holds doll baby stuff and like make-believe type items. Like they have play cell phones in there and stuff like that they really like to play with. And there was a few little kitchen items up here that she still was wanting. I do value their opinions when it comes to the toys. There is times that mom just makes her decision and that's what we go with, but I do value what they think about the toys that we have. And actually the girls came up here and looked at what I have left in here after taking 3 trash bags. Yes, 3 trash bags full out of this room, and they were very happy with it. They said, okay, Mom, now we can keep it clean, and they just love the space, and honestly, they're biting at the bit to come up here and play now that it's all cleaned up, of course. So I think that there is so much value in teaching your children that they don't need everything. They can make do with smaller amounts of things, and it really spurs more creativity when you have less things going on. They did have some other bags hanging up here. My mom made them each one of these little tote bags. My third daughter has hers downstairs right now, but they're just a perfect size for them. They work as a diaper bag, as a book bag, kind of whatever. So I got rid of the other little bags that they had, and we are just gonna stick with those for now to play house and baby and shopping and coffee shop, and they make a lot of play in this room for sure. So I feel like it's back to a much more manageable state. And when it comes to children and their things, I think it's just an ongoing process to be decluttering their items and toys.